The Changeling is a 1980 haunted house ghost movie that features a great performance from lead actor and acting legend George C. Scott. It's a well-made and eerie supernatural horror outing that manages to be an engrossing mystery as well as a terrifying ghost story. It's one of the most underrated and spooky ghost story films of all time. Following the tragic death of his wife and daughter, famous pianist and composer John Russell moves to Seattle and rents an imposing old mansion that has been occupied in a dozen years. Before long, Russell hears a strange thumping sound in the house and experiences other disturbances too, including a vision of a dead child in a bathtub. John discovers a sealed room in an upper attic, evidence of a child's dark and secret death, and his replacement by another, a changeling. This discovery leads Russell all the way back to a prominent senator named Carmichael, and a terrible truth about his origins in life. The angry spirit dwelling in Russell's house wants vengeance, and is able to manipulate the tools of the living, including a massive wheelchair, to see justice meted out.
Stop it, John! Just for 1 minute, please!
The Changeling is a scary film. It's a movie I enjoyed watching growing up, and I always found it to be entertaining. But upon re-watching it for this review, I found myself legit getting the chills during a few sequences and scares of the movie. As a kid, I found the movie to be a rather dramatic and serious toned outing, and I always appreciated it. But after years of watching recent and modern horror flicks that focus on either predictable jump scares or pointless gore, I was pleasantly surprised and loved the suspense and carefully crafted scares of The Changeling. I still find The Changeling to be a slow burn of a ghost story, but the film's detective mystery keeps the movie engaging and interesting throughout, with George C. Scott's character slowly uncovering a murder plot that involves an old senator and his dubious identity. The performances in the film are great all round, with Scott lending the film a powerful and emotional performance. His character is a lonely composer haunted by the recent death of his family that soon finds himself being reached out to by the lost soul haunting his new abode. His presence elevates the material, and it's one of the best performances I've ever seen in a horror film.
You have to show it to the police. It's the only piece of solid evidence we've got.
They didn't see me dig it up. They couldn't find it. Why should they believe it was there?
You can't just ignore them.
The police aren't going to trouble themselves with a 70-year-old case.
Still, it's an unsolved murder.
No. Whatever is to be done has to be done by me.
The Changeling is expertly crafted by director Peter Madec, who also directed the underrated Romeo is Bleeding. Madec does a great job building suspense and giving the movie a sense of foreboding dread. The movie is an atmospheric and at times depressing ghost story. Madec did a great job, and it's an even more impressive feat when you take into account he was hired to direct and rewrite the script just a month before filming began. The cinematography is excellent, the score is haunting, which suits the film, and the over-the-top ending is highly satisfying. The film's portrayal of the ghost is also interesting and refreshing. The film's ghost isn't outright malevolent, and comes off like a conflicted and wounded spirit. The ghost seems playful at times, angry at others, but there's an overwhelming sense of sadness about the spirit. Hell, there's an overwhelming sense of sadness that permeates the whole film. The seance scene in the film is one of my favorites and showcases how creepy and effective the storytelling is.
Is there someone here you wish to communicate with?
John? Help! 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 Help!
Another key reason The Changeling is so effective and foreboding is the actual house itself, a sprawling and monstrous mansion that feels imposing and spooky. The Changeling was released to critical acclaim and is now seen as a minor classic. It had a decent shelf life on home video where it garnered most of its following, but I still feel it's an underrated and underappreciated ghost story. The 1980s are filled with over-the-top gore fests and too many slashers, but The Changeling is a different kind of scary and a different kind of horror movie for that decade. It's a somber early 80s horror outing that manages to be frightful and feature a sympathetic lead character. I highly recommend checking out this well-crafted supernatural mystery this October.